Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Vikas, and today we'll be taking you through some of the model assembly changes we have done for HyperMesh 2025. Along with Greg, we'll take you through this journey. So let's get started with our presentation. Today's agenda is we'll start with model build updates, where we'll discuss the key advancements aimed at improving the workflow and the efficiency in building models. Next up, we'll be covering AMDC integrations, followed by CAD interface updates, where we talk about some of the new support added. And lastly, we'll talk about renumber and ID updates, which focus on improving the way IDs are managed and renumbered. So let's get going. In HyperMesh 2025, we are introducing a new way to manage the data team library. This replaces our personal or legacy library. In this slide, we'll explore the challenges, motivations behind the team library initiative. While our existing personal or legacy library infrastructure has served us so well over over the decade, it has reached its limits due to evolving technological demands, constraints, and it's really falling short now with the challenges that we are coming over. So to address this, we have focused on streamlining the model management. The legacy system had several inefficiencies that hindered the progress and productivity. We have kind of eliminated those obstacles, and we have created a foundation for a new, smoother workflows and more effective model management. Another aspect of this new team library is modernized infrastructure. This new implementation of modernized infrastructure leverages on open and cutting edge technologies, which have significantly enhanced scalability, ensuring that our systems are well prepared to meet our growing demand now and in future. One of the key drawbacks of previous legacy system was the way data was stored in. With the new team library, you get an intuitive folder structure. This is really an user-friendly design that allows you to seamlessly navigate directly through your file explorer, the system file explorer, reducing the complexity and streamlining day-to-day operations. As we'll show in the next slides, it's really easy to track your data on the file system and use it. And lastly, our whole effort is to build future ready design, which will last, maybe next 10 or 20 years. So this whole team library is built on that. This platform ensures that it's adaptable to evolving requirements, advancements in the future, positioning us for a long-term success in an ever-changing technical landscape. Together, all these improvements equip our team's library to not only meet today's demand, but also prepare us for challenges that will come tomorrow. I'm going to switch to a live demo for the team library now. So I'll get out of the presentation. So first up, I'm going to use this split screen. So that I can show you how the data is managed, how we are working through the data. So first up, I want to show you how the existing personal or legacy library used to look. So if I go in a legacy library, you will see that it used to create two folders and one file. Inside this folder, LDB will have your database and Vault will have a folder in which data was presented in this format, which is kind of a mangled name. From this information, you could never make out what file is what unless you open it or unless you have an external mean to really decipher this name. This was really an implementation from a decade-long requirements, which is not needed in the current scenario. This not only hindered your regular interaction through browser, it also made building on this data using customizations or querying just from outside the system really, really difficult. So we'll come back on top of this, and now I'll create new libraries and I'll go through the enhancements that we have done. First and foremost is there is a zero learning curve with the new library or team library. You can just go to libraries and you will be still presented with the library manager. There are a couple of nuances that we have managed to push into this library managers. We are trying to make the information very clear to the user. We are also trying to make it more seamless and user friendly. And this is why you will see a change in this GUI right over here on the right hand side. Earlier, you used to have radio buttons, but now you have type where you can select part or subsystem or library. You can still create team or shared library, the shared library which is powered by PostgreSQL. I'm covering that also later on, some comparison related to team library versus PostgreSQL in the later slides. So we'll come to that. Most important thing is path now. So we'll go here, we'll create a new folder. I'm going to select that folder. And if you see the name of the folder becomes the name of the library. You can add it, you can connect it. It's really fast. Once that is done, if you come back to your Windows Explorer, you will see that we create just two folders, the database and part vault. And this is the structure that is reaping benefits for us. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to save these representations, all of them, even though they are CAD, to the library, and we will see how it goes into the library. As you can see, the operation is almost instantaneous. And inside the part vault, we have switched to a folder-based structure. So what it means is for every part, we'll create a folder and manage the data related to it. Now, this data is managed based on this order of major revision, study revision. So if you see, if I go in left outer A, there is a major revision A. If I go inside it, there is a study revision of dash. And if I go inside it, there is a HM binary. And the most important thing that you would like to see here is the name is not mangled. Looking at just the file name, you can still make out what that file is, the part name of it, the major revision of it, the study revision of it, and the library revision of it. This makes this was a big shortcoming coming from our legacy library where you could not decipher what that file is just by looking at it. But it's with the new team library, this is very easily possible. Similarly, we can go to other folders. We can go to center arena. Same you will see there. And if you add more representations, they will show up here under A with the study revision as dash. And if you are making a change and you are bringing in new revision B, then we will end up creating a revision B here, a folder akin to the major revision of that part, and then start storing that information in that subsequent folders. So this will be really easy to build on customizations to navigate the data. In some cases, customers wanted to submit directly from the location on the disk to the solvers. So even that is possible now using the library data. For the next part, I'm going to show the same workflow for subsystem library. And this is what I meant when I said that there is a zero learning curve, because for part library or subsystem library, it doesn't matter. We kept the workflow same in the past. And even with this new implementation, the learning curve is literally zero. Everything works as it should, the way it was working in the past versus the way it is working today. So I go here, libraries. The dialog came on second screen, so I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to add a subsystem library. We are going to use the same path. Give me a second to copy the path. We'll create a folder. Again, the folder name becomes the library name. We add it, we connect to it. We can always disconnect from it. We are also showing which libraries you are connected to in this GUI. Once you are connected to the library, you can go ahead and start saving. The workflow remains the same. Go to this folder, you can see there is nothing here. We'll hit save here, and this should start saving the subsystem libraries. Subsystems are more contain more data. So you can see that it's writing a lot of messages here before representation save comes up. As you are aware, from at least last 2 to 3 releases, we are saving the subsystems as HM binary too. And in this case, library allows you to save it as HM binary. So the same structure that you saw with the parts, the major revision folder, the study revision folder, and the HM binary will also be replicated in subsystem. So in nutshell, this is how both the part and subsystem library work. Even though the backend is changed in the implementation, end user will not see major change other than the library name or library type or mode, as you want to see here. Other than that, this GUI that is changed and the name that is changed, you will not really see any adverse effect of this change. What you'll see is actually the advancements that we have done. And in this slide, I'm going to reiterate again some of the few points. This is the old library manager GUI. So with the new GUI, you get a streamlined modern GUI with zero learning curve. Instead of radio button, you have part, subsystem, teams, and instead of selecting a type such as personal or shared, you see team or share. The major changes are these, and the most effective change of this is the simple yet intuitive folder structure that you see here, which allows effortless navigation directly through the file explorer. This user-centric design significantly reduces complexity, and it makes day-to-day operations smoother and more efficient. So keep these two things in mind when you are looking at it. You don't have to go through these mangled names anymore to figure out what is happening in the library. You can just you can trace which major revision it is, which study revision it is, and accordingly you can see the data. In the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about performance. Performance is inherently relative as it depends on variables such as hardware, latency, other environmental factors, right? Therefore, you always need a standard data to do the testing. And we have done the testing under different circumstances. And this is what we really like to see. The representation save is the most expensive operation. So this is why I'm showing you the representation save performance data. The team library exhibits almost linear save performance. If you look at it as the number of parts go up, the curve remains linear, whereas our old legacy library was literally locking up as the number of parts was going higher. And this actually is a very good baseline to start looking at the performance gain. You will see the performance gain across all the use cases, but the basic thing is high number of parts being saved to the library, how the performance stacks, and this is a very good basic graph that shows us that the performance always stays linear no matter number of parts or users. We had a good solution in legacy library. We had a good solution in a shared library. What we have done in team library is we have brought together the best of both the libraries so that eventually sometime in future we can have only team library and we can replace both of them. As of now in HyperMesh 2025, the personal library is replaced with the team library, but shared library is there, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in the next slides. So in this slide, we will basically compare local library or legacy library versus team library, and we want to see how the file management and other aspects help us. So the very first point of comparison is keeping the file names intact. So the local library falls short, as you know, it mangles the name and then you lose the track of original file name. The team library, on the other hand, retains the file name consistently, improving organization and traceability. When it comes to the part reuse, both libraries support that. So we are pretty much aligned there. We have best of the last workflow that is also continued in the new workflow. A key benefit of local library was its independence from IT involvement, and that again applies to the team library too. And this is a very powerful feature of our library solution that allows CAE teams to work independent of the hassles of going through IT and setting up additional machines. Uh, when it comes to the high performance, team library actually outshines the legacy library. The legacy personal or local library was having an issue when you are connecting more than 2 or 3 users, and this is why we kept it personal and we did not make it, a shared or local library. But with the team library, that limitation goes away, and now you can get a high performance in team environment using the team library. When it comes to preserving directory structure, this is something entirely new and previous legacy library did not support it. It lacked this capability, which is brought in team library now. Enables real-time collaboration because a team library can be used across teams. Real-time collaboration is very easy, whereas with the local library, the real-time collaboration was possible with a real bad performance or not more than 3 users or 2 users being able to work at a time. So this is why it's important when I say that we took the best of the old library, but made sure that the new team library is even better. And lastly, team library is going to make customizations easy to build and manage, enabling the users to adapt to system to their specific needs, something that local libraries struggled with due to name mangling and older APIs. In summary, the team library currently is addressing all the key limitations of local library while introducing the modern features that enhance performance, collaboration, and user experience. The next, in this slide, I want to show you how team library fares against our shared library. When it comes to maintaining file names, as you know, the shared library is still using our previous naming conventions and everything. So obviously it lacks that, and team library keeps the names consistent as well as very relatable, and we don't change the name. So yeah, both are supporting part reuse. And this is another key difference between these two libraries. So if you're if you're comparing a shared library with team library, while shared library will need IT dependencies, team library will not need any IT dependencies. So shared library, you will need to have a VM, you will have to install PostgreSQL, configure it. A lot of users struggle with it, even though we have simplified the installation process and configuration process. We also have a guide for it, but we still found that a lot of users are struggling, even the IT users are struggling to get things going. And that was one of the major drawback of shared library, because almost on all the calls, me or somebody from development had to go in, help them install, configure it, make sure that they have right ports open. All this hassle will go away with the team library once you replaced it with the team library. All this hassle goes away when you are not dealing with the shared library if you start using the team library. Both were delivering high performance. So that was good. Directory structure is preserved in the team library, which is not case with the shared library. The real-time collaboration is possible with shared library as well as team library. And when it comes to the customization, it's really difficult to do the customizations using the shared library, whereas team library, it is really easy. So like I said earlier in a summary, we have taken the best of both legacy or local library and shared or PostgreSQL library and created a single library that not only addresses their shortcomings, but also makes us future proof, bringing in all the new enhancements. So these features should help you make a clear choice for team library when you're aiming for efficiency, adaptability, and collaboration. But with these two changes, there might be a lot of questions that are coming to your mind, like how the transitioning is going to happen. And in the next slide, we are actually addressing some of those concerns. So very first concern that will come to some of you might be what happens to local library or PostgreSQL libraries. So local libraries, the existing libraries will remain accessible. So when you install HyperMesh 2025, you can still push and pull data into the legacy libraries or the libraries that are already connected to or you have already made them. For PostgreSQL, there is no change in support. They will be fully maintained during the transitional phase. So we'll keep on addressing the issues. We'll keep on addressing the bugs. Uh, what this allows customers to do is they don't have to worry about migration. They don't have to worry about losing data, because the way we have created our APIs, or we have created the infrastructure, is it is able to support both the libraries in the back end. In the front end, there is hardly any change. So like I said, zero learning curve in starting using these, other than understanding that you are now getting a better and efficient mechanism to deal with your data management. So what are the migration requirements? There are no need to do additional steps or do a migration effort. HyperMesh 2025 again supports both the system legacy library as well as PostgreSQL. And we are keeping that support till we ensure that everybody is transitioned to the team library. Future library creation. So users have created a library, they are working on it. Now they want to create a new library. In that case, they will not be able to create any legacy libraries anymore. Only team libraries can be created in HyperMesh 2025, and going forward will not allow creation of any old personal library. This is very clear from my GUI as well, and I want to emphasize on this point. Our team library is backward compatible, meaning that if you create a team library and you want to access it from 2024.1, the answer is no. The technology is so different, it cannot be made backward compatible. And this is why a data created in team library cannot be read back into HyperMesh 2024.1 or something like that, or a previous version, any previous version of HyperMesh. I have tried to capture all the questions that might come to the mind, but if you have any other questions, we are available to answer that. We are also available to take you or your customer through any queries that they have. So feel free to reach out to me or Greg in case there is a question that is coming to your mind, or customer has a very specific query and you need an answer for that very quickly. This is all about the libraries at team library and the enhancement or big framework change that we have done in HyperMesh 2025. Other than that, we have also done additional enhancements, a lot of bug fixes, and we'll look at some of the key advancements here. And first and foremost that comes to mind is custom representation control. So custom representation control was missing the mesh flag support. We have added that so that you can also create custom representations in the one click in the representation create workflow. The next one is, and the industry is going toward this, is step AP242 format. So now you can export step AP242 file using BOM export mechanism. This allows us with extender capabilities, and it also allows us to easily share the data, and integration with other systems becomes very easy. Next one is advanced material metadata management. So we had supported the metadata for materials in 2024.1, and AMDC was missed out. So now the material that is coming from AMDC, if it has a metadata on it, that will be seen in HyperMesh, and that is supported. There was a big common pain point with PDM attributes because it used to display 0 if the value is blank. We have fixed this bug in 2025, wherein the blank is actually no longer defaults to 0. It is very accurate and cleaner data representation now, wherein blank is actually blank. The next big change you will see is representation load messages. We have replaced the single message with the multiple one with the enhanced clarity in representation load messages. You can actually see which you can actually create the part sets on the parts that have failed representation creation using the batch mesh workflow, and the message is very clear, telling you what has worked versus what has not. Together with these key enhancements, coupled with other bug fixes and minor enhancements that we have done, it actually streamlines the processes, improves the data handling, and creates a more seamless user experience. There are more to list here, but we have taken only some of the key enhancements and tried to communicate those. The next one, with this, the model build portion actually is over, and the next one is AMDC integration. We have a major update to AMDC integration. Uh, when it comes to the AMDC integration, there was a major shortcoming that we are creating duplicate materials in case the names match. So you have, let's say, queried for 1100 underscore aluminium, and when you load it from AMDC, what we were doing were we were creating 1100 underscore aluminium dot one if the IDs are not matching. If in order to replace the existing material, you have to match the ID and then do the save to my materials operation, which was kind of clumsy. In 2025, we have resolved this issue, and this short video will demonstrate that. So I query for, I have created a blank material here, 1100 underscore aluminium, and now I'm going to query for it in AMDC by going to library, load from AMDC. The query will be pre-populated. One of the change that you will see here is now you can select if you have a local AMDC server, you can select that repository if you want to. Now that the material is available here, look at the material ID, it's 1000. The name is matching. I'm looking at the material card and I'm hitting save to my material. And what this will ensure is since the names are matching, the material in the session gets replaced with the incoming one, and you can see the values are being populated here. So this was a major pain point with our AMDC integration. Sorry about this. And we have kind of addressed that in HyperMesh 2025. Okay. Now we will move on to some of the updates that we have done for CAD interface. The first and the foremost that is there is the new version support. We have added the support for NX2406. It is now supported as a native reader, not through a third-party reader, and it also improves the integration and workflow with the NX software. So if your customer has moved to NX2406, then they can use the native reader to read those files in HyperMesh. The support through the third party will come in next version of HyperMesh, so it's currently supported through natively. Second on the list is 3DX 2024. Dassault has updated their 3D experience platform with a new version, and we are ready to consume it. We support the 3D XMLs coming out of 2024 3DX 2024, as well as the 3D ref files that are coming from that installation. Creo also gets a bump in the support. Creo 11 is supported in this HyperMesh 2025. Another big change that we have done is the way log files are named and written. So until now, the log files were written like ct_reader.msg, jt_reader.msg, nx_reader.msg. The .msg actually confused a lot of customers thinking that those are Outlook related files, or those are the files that they shouldn't be really looking at because Windows will automatically associate them with Outlook. So looking at that, we have also changed the extension to .log. The first part of the reader remains the same, ct_reader or jt_reader. The last part .msg get replaced with .log. This improved file naming also allows you to easily associate and ask for the log file. It is very easy to ask for it, or very easy to read for it when there is a .log in front of it, rather than something obscure as .msg. These changes are to ensure that our system provides the best support to CAE modeling needs, and this is, I believe, the step in the right direction to have the log messages read .log rather than .msg. Another big change has come from the help documentation. Many thanks to the documentation team for working with me on this. We have a very intuitive help format now. We have redesigned the CAD support web page to provide a clear traceability of CAD version supports across HyperMesh releases. It is a very simplified navigation for enhanced clarity and user accessibility.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to show some just small but continuous improvements that we're trying to make to ID management and renumbering. So let's take a look and see what they are. So the first one is just a slight improvement in the renumbering logic, there were certain cases in ID Manager where the renumbering corrected the IDs for most of the model, but some of the IDs were still outside of the ID range defined. So we've improved the logic, and now we renumber everything within one iteration. Also, when you set the correction method to compact and fit, it was actually doing one of the other options. It was doing insert in gaps behavior. So it wasn't following the documentation or the expectations. So that behavior has now been corrected. So if you have a model and you do compact and fit, it will do what we expect. The third change is we have now persistent settings for the duplicate ID management. So when you set duplicate ID management on, it allows you to use ID pooling. So you can have, depending on the solver, the same ID for the same entity in whichever kind of, as we call them, ID pools that the solver allows. This setting was not remembered across sessions, but now is. And the last change is that we've removed the min and max reserved ID columns, which were two more columns. So you've got the min and the max occupied IDs, the min and the max ID range, but you also had a min and a max reserved, and you could enter a minimum value and a maximum value to reserve the IDs. The problem with it was that it was giving a confusing or misleading number, because you look and you say the min reserved is 1,000 and the max reserved is 10,000. You might assume that all of the IDs within that are reserved, but that's not true. So what we've done is we've consolidated it with the other already existing method that we have for reserving IDs, which is just the simple right-click, reserve IDs, and enter a range. So you can just right-click and do, in this case, 35,000 to 35,100 and go. So it's the same as entering it in the min and the max. But you can add it, and then you can review that ID list. And so this way it shows you the number of reserved IDs, and actually you can get the explicit list. So one of the things we've tried to do as well with ID management and renumbering in general is to take the kind of two disparate workflows and continuously work to bring them together to more tightly align them, because it's all within the same aim and the same goal of correctly numbering your model. So with that, we've added some enhancements to renumbering to provide messages where ID Manager is impacting the results that's coming out of renumber. So for example, we've added messages here into the text box, so that if you try and renumber some elements but they don't get renumbered, previously you had no information. In fact, it was reporting that they were correctly renumbered where they weren't changed at all. So now we're telling you that these elements are not being renumbered, and you know why they're not being renumbered, because they're locked from ID Manager. So ID Manager has locked these so they can't be renumbered. So you get feedback in the text box where it was actually telling you previously, like I say, that it was renumbering them successfully where it wasn't. And additionally, we've added something to the status bar as well to give you a bit more information. So there's quite a lot of information here. So the number of elements that were renumbered with the beginning and the end ID, if any of those were locked. These element IDs are occupied, means that I may have asked to renumber into a range where some elements already exist in that range, so it can't just renumber them into that block. So it's had to push past those IDs. And hence that's why we've got 1,400 elements renumbered, but actually the range of renumbering is over 35,000, because within that, a lot of those IDs, 23,000 of them are already used. And then again, 5,000 of the element IDs are reserved, which means we can't renumber and use those IDs because, again, they're reserved by ID Manager. So that was something we weren't giving any feedback on. So we now tell you again why we didn't renumber to the IDs that you requested, but we will have either renumbered beyond them. So we'll give you the next available ID. So that's it. From ID management and renumbering, really, like I say, we're just focusing really on continuous but small improvements here.